Alright, hello there YouTube. So today I'm going to go through my packing list, all the equipment that I brought with me on the South Downs Way. One of the things I noticed about this walk as compared to some of the other the other long walks that I've done is that I didn't feel nearly as beaten down at the end of it, and I really attribute that to the pack weight. I was able to get my pack weight down to something very manageable for that 100-mile distance. So just thought it'd be good to go through my equipment, show you what I brought, quick description about all of it, how it performed, and all of that. Alright, so first, start with the outside. So my pack. This is the Kaipak 38, and it is the best pack that I've ever had. It is not necessarily light, and I know what you're going to say is, Mike, what are you doing? You just said that you were all lightweight. Why is your pack so heavy? And the reason that I like this pack as my standard pack, and I use it for just day trips or several day, 6-day walks along the South Downs Way, there is its durability. And I like lightweight gear, and most of what I'm going to talk about today is pretty lightweight. But what I feel is that while all that's lightweight, I find that the lightweight equipment typically isn't as durable. And my philosophy, and this is just my theory, is I don't want to have a super lightweight rucksack that gets torn up on the brambles and the tree branches and all that. I don't want to have to worry about where I set it down. And this thing, I really, I can dump it. It's not going to it's not going to get hurt. It's not going to be damaged really in any way. I've had this for almost 2 years now. I've brought it on most of my trips, and it doesn't, except for a little dust and dirt, it looks the same as the day that I bought it. And I figure, if all of my lightweight, not quite as durable equipment is inside this shell, then it's protected, and I'm going to keep that from damage. So I don't mind my rucksack being a little bit heavier on the heavy side if it's going to, last, if it's going to be able to withstand the terrain that I'm walking through. And like I said, this is a pack that I can bring for a day trip. And again, another thing that I like about this is I've had packs before that if you don't fill it up, if you don't have it completely packed, it's floppy, blows around in the wind, and it doesn't keep your equipment where you want it to be. And with this, with the sturdy material that it's made from, it doesn't matter if it's completely full or virtually empty. Cinch everything down, it doesn't move, it stays where it stays put, stays where I want it to be. So I absolutely love this pack. And knowing Fjallraven, it should be a pack that I have for years and years to come. I've had this rain jacket for its Marmot rain jacket, lightweight, for about 5 years now. It is starting to deteriorate, so I'm going to need another one. But it's a nice lightweight, waterproof jacket, and it's served me well for 5 years. I think to go any more durable or anything that's going to last longer than that, you're going to have to add more weight to your pack, and I think I'm going to stick with something similar to this for my trips. Rain trousers. I've not used these very often, actually. It's Keela, Keela. These, they're not super lightweight, but I will say when I have used them, and I used these on my Dartmoor trip, my second Dartmoor trip, and really they weren't cumbersome, even though they're a little bit heavy, they're a little bit stiff. They weren't cumbersome, but they did keep me completely dry, and they didn't feel like I was really wearing an extra layer. I didn't even notice like swishing that you sometimes get with wet weather trousers. So I do like these a little bit on the heavy side, but again, I feel as though these are going to last me a while. And of course, I've got my my pack rain cover from Fjallraven. So I only used this on the first day. Again, it wasn't that rainy. And everything that I have really is in waterproof. Everything that needs to be waterproof is waterproof in my pack. But I will use this if the rain's really coming down, just because I don't want the pack to get sodden and heavier than it has to be. So I will use this, but really only if it's really coming down. But you know, you're gone for 6 days. You don't know if you don't know exactly what the weather's going to be like. So I did bring it along with me. But this is something that typically, if I'm just going for a night or two, I won't necessarily bring. All right, on to clothing that I brought and wore on the trip. So I started off the first 2 days. I was wearing something similar to this. I had a different t-shirt on, something that whipped moisture away. But it was these shorts, synthetic, lightweight, dry quickly. And I was wearing a pair of hiking socks and my running shoes. And I was really debating before, leading up to starting the walk, what do I want to wear on my feet? And I know some people swear by trainers or trail running shoes, and other people need the heavier hiking boots. I would say for the first 2 days, these were fine, and they didn't hurt my feet. I didn't slip in mud or on rocks or anything like that. So they were absolutely fine, except for one aspect, and that is the rain. And my feet were soaked after the first day because of all the rain that came down. And you get to camp and you take your shoes off, and your feet are that white wrinkly mess. And again, not they weren't injured, they weren't hurt. I didn't have any blisters, but just with the forecast being what it was, where we're supposed to get rain every day, I just a little bit unsure of coming into camp every day with those white wrinkly feet. And I thought, if I go on day for day, that might become a problem. And so when my wife picked up my daughters, I had her bring me my hiking boots. So these are Meindl boots, and these were honestly they're too heavy for this trip. But that being said, they did a fine job. I didn't need a heavy boot like this, but at no time was my foot too hot. Did I get blisters? Did I feel bogged down by wearing heavy footwear? They still did the job very, very well, but the terrain wasn't demanding a heavy-duty boot like this. So even though I didn't need this boot, it still wasn't a problem at all, and it was so nice to get into camp every night and have dry feet, and that's, I think, just a great feeling to have when you finish for the day. Like I said, first 2 days, these shorts, but then after that I switched to my hiking trousers. And again, my idea was, wearing shorts, lightweight, just go as many miles as possible. But because I was walking with somebody else, I couldn't just push myself, to do 20-ish miles a day. And to be honest, these trousers, they're heavier than these shorts, but I've had these for coming up on 2 years now as well, and they, except for a little bit of fading, because I do wear them out all the time and they're in the sun all the time, except for that a little bit of fading, they look like the day I bought them. There's a few little pulls that you get in the kind of shin area, just from prickers and all of that. But I'll be honest, I walk through prickers, brambles all the time, and for there to be just a few little pulls in this stretchy material, I think says a lot about the, it's still durable, even though there's a lot of give to it. I wear these in the winter, I wear them in the summer, and they're fine in the summer because if you zip open all the pockets, there's mesh in there, and in the inside of the thigh, it zips open and there's mesh there too. And really, it does feel like you're wearing shorts when you're walking in these, but you still have the protection that, you know, if you're walking through a lot of vegetation, that you're not getting cut up or anything like that. And I just like that protection. And really having the zips, and it's nice that they have mesh as well, so you don't have, you know, debris getting into your trouser leg or insects or anything like that. So breathable, but still gives you that protection. The sides zip down as well. So there have been a few times on really hot days, I'll open that up as well. And just you get that airflow, you know, down your trouser leg, and it does keep you cool, but still protects you. Okay, so here's my extra clothes. That's what I wore every day. Here's what I had just as backup. Now I've gotten into this recently, especially in the wintertime, but I did bring them on this trip as well. A pair of my wife's fuzzy socks. Just because it's so nice to feel warm and soft on your feet after a long day of walking. So if I am, if I am putting the miles in, or in the winter as well, and I just want something soft on my feet, I do steal these. Here, just a fleece, a lightweight fleece. You saw me wearing this on the trip, and again, it's lightweight, and it's nothing substantially warm, but it's enough if you're on a windy hilltop and you just want to kind of help keep the wind off of you a little bit. So I had that. My windproof. I didn't bring a jacket on this trip. Again, trying to cut weight. So I did just, if I ever needed it, which was only once, I think, I used my rain jacket as my windbreaker. So I only brought one extra pair of socks with me, and honestly didn't need it. I only wore it the last day just to give my feet, a fresh pair of socks to be in. But again, my feet stayed dry. They didn't get wet. They didn't, I had a good pair of socks, a good pair of smart wool socks that I wore for the majority of the trip. And, they just took care of my feet. So this was more of a luxury. But of course, I'm always going to bring an extra pair of socks. And then just something to sleep in. So I've got a pair of leggings here. I think these were an Amazon purchase. And same thing, just a t-shirt, a cotton t-shirt, something to change into at the end of the day, just so you're not wearing your same sweaty, stinky clothing. All right, these are the stakes that I use. I could tell you the name, but I don't think you can even find them on Amazon anymore. Seems like the Amazon just kind of rotates through different brands of these, but they are the kind of the triangle shaped ones, and I find these hold much better. They are pretty lightweight as well. I think they came in a pack of 8 or 10, and these are just not much to say about these other than they're aluminum and they weren't very expensive, but they work perfectly. All right, flip-flops. After a long day of walking, I like to give my feet a break, and I like to bring these a pair of flip-flops with me. These are the lightest weight ones I could find on Amazon, and they're exactly what they need to be. They're easy to strap to the outside of the pack if they got wet or you need to make room inside your pack. But they're just lightweight, and it's something to let your feet breathe once you get to camp, once you set up and all of that. I do bring, my friends make fun of me a little bit for it, but I do bring toe socks as well. And just if it is a bit chilly and I don't want bare feet, I have toe socks so I can still wear my flip-flops. All right, this is my sleeping pad, and again, it's a Amazon. I'd say a good deal as opposed to cheap. It's served me well. Again, I've had this for about 2 years now. It comes with a little repair kit, but I haven't needed it. and it's, weighs in, at 16.6 ounces, and it's not rated. It doesn't have a high R rating. I think I don't know if it's even rated, but in the summertime, it's been fine. I have used it in my hammock before in the winter, and it just didn't. Yeah, it didn't keep me warm. So I wouldn't use it in really cold conditions. But for something that's fairly lightweight, fairly compact, that will serve me well when the weather's warmer, this is great. Okay, so this is my kind of, I'll call it my extras or my accessory bag. So this is the catch-all dry bag that I use for my electronics and change it. Basically anything that doesn't go somewhere else in my pack. And by the way, these are, I like these dry bags a lot. This is Sea to Summit eVac eVent, and they come in all sizes, of course. But you'll notice on the bottom, they allow air out, but they don't let moisture or water in. And so, we've all experienced this with dry bags, is you try to squeeze all the air out, and then you roll it up, and it still has that extra pocket of air in there that doesn't allow it to collapse anymore. And so with this, I squeeze most of the air out, roll it down, and then give it a final squeeze, and it pushes the remaining air out of the bottom, and so you can pack it tighter into your pack. All right, so first aid kit, just something small and light. I used to carry a massive first aid kit, but realized that's unnecessary for these kind of trips. This just a little bag that holds my my charging cables. I could go lighter. This is basically one of my daughter's pencil bags from school from a few years ago, and it's serving the purpose now. It's not necessarily lightweight. I'll probably replace it sometime, but again, with the weight of everything else in my pack, I'm not concerned about a few extra grams or ounces right now. Toiletries, so toothbrush, toothpaste. I keep a washcloth, or I think you call it a flannel, in here, and it's just nice at the end of the day after you warm up your water for your food or tea in the morning. You pour the extra warm water in the washcloth. Just go over your face, and it really makes you feel like you've had a bath, even though you haven't, and you still smell really bad. All right, this is my charging port. Again, Amazon purchase, had good reviews. It is solar, but I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know how well the solar panel actually works. I charge it up before I go. If it is sunny, I will hang it, little carabiner here, whoop, just came off. But I will hang it from the side of my pack, just in case, because I figure if I'm walking for 6 days and I get half a phone charge from, the sun charging the battery pack, it was worth it. So I don't know how well the solar works, but anyway, it does have a lot of juice in it. I do bring the charging cable for this with me, so that when we stop for lunch in a pub, or stop for the night somewhere where there is electricity, I can charge it up and all that. It is heavy, but I don't know. I've not found a substantial battery pack that isn't heavy. It's just how it is. So glasses case for the night, because I don't want to roll over and crunch my glasses. Trowel, toilet paper, tent repair patches, so just basically super sticky. Use this. One of my other sleeping pads did get a leak in it. I used these on it and it worked great, so I do bring these along just as a precaution, just in case tree branch falls on the tent, something like that. Extra lighter, just a towel, head torch, some Compeed blister packs. Again, no one blister. I'm sorry, there was one blister on one of my toes, and I got it. I put a Band-Aid plaster on it, and it was fine. I didn't even need these. These would have been too much for it, but I did bring these just in case. And then finally, and this is a new addition to my pack, earplugs. And I thought I wouldn't like sleeping with something in my ear, just because I do prefer to sleep on my side, and I didn't think I would like that feeling of pressing down on something that was in my ear. But they are nice to have. Only used them, I think, 1 or 2 nights when the wind and rain was keeping me up a bit. But again, they're super lightweight, and when I do use them, they work really, really well. Of course, I've got sunscreen, which I forgot to use one day, or didn't want to use one day, and got sunburned, but the rest of the time it was great. I also brought medicated powder with me, talcum powder basically, because in really warm weather, I do get heat rash around, where my socks are and in my boots, and this makes a big difference. But luckily, it wasn't, luckily or unluckily, it wasn't that warm, and so it wasn't a problem. So just a plastic spoon to eat with, and I used to have I still have it, but I had a titanium one, a titanium spork. But I'm not sure if this happens to anybody else. I don't like the feel of it when I'm eating. There's something about it that it almost gives me that nails on chalkboard feeling. So I've swapped it out for a plastic one. Got a mug. It's rigid. Some people use a collapsible one. I like this because it's metal. It's one aspect of my kit that I can make not plastic, and it even though I think a lot of people like the collapsible ones because they are more compact. But what I find is I just stuff this full of my food stuff. So this will hold a couple baggies of porridge, or my tea bags, or I've even protected Snicker bars in here. So just fill that up, and then that way it doesn't take up as much room. Now I carried 2 water bottles. One was always full, the other one was always empty, except for the last stop before we got to camp. And the reason being is one was enough to give me water from one water stop to the next. But because we're eating dehydrated meals, porridge, having tea in the morning, you end up using a lot of water on top of just what you're drinking. So the last water stop, I'd fill up both just so I have that extra water. All right, my cook kit. So I do have one of these canister holders, just because a lot of the terrain that you end up sleeping on, you don't have a perfectly flat spot, and I would prefer not to have boiling water spill all over my legs when I'm out on the trail. So there's that. This pot isn't necessarily anything to write home about. It was a cheaper one on Amazon, and I'm not necessarily naming all the brands of the stuff that I bought on Amazon, just because it seems like Amazon goes through these brands and companies pretty quick. So even though I bought this on Amazon, there's a chance that this particular brand isn't on there anyway. It's a 750 ml. But one thing that I wish I would have known before I bought this is it's 750 ml up to the top. So you can't boil 750 mils of water in here. The most you could do is about 500, but even then it starts bubbling over, and you're risking boiling water splashing onto your hand as you're trying to turn the stove off. So I would suggest, if I could go back in time, do it all over again, I would have gotten the 1 liter pot. And probably will replace it sometime. So I have my main lighter, my stove, which this is a Soto stove. I think it's a Japanese brand. And anyway, it is compact. It's lightweight. I really like this one. I'll break it up so you can see. Hopefully you can see that there. So of course it folds out and all that, but I used to have, this is the first canister stove that I bought, and the reason being is I was always worried about running out of fuel, whereas my liquid fuel, I had a MSR Whisper Light, I still have it, I still use it sometimes, but I like that you could refill the tank, the fuel tank, and you knew how much cooking time that was going to give you. Whereas with a canister, once you open it up, it's easy to forget. Wait, how many liters of water have I boiled? How many times have I used it? And you can shake it, but you never really know how much is left in there. But what I find is I carry whatever one has been opened, has been used already, and then I carry a spare as well, a spare full one. And so far on my longer walks, it really hasn't been an issue. One more thing about the Soto stove is that it boils very quickly. I don't know. You can look up all the specs about the Soto stoves. But it just my anecdotal experience, it boils really quickly. And one thing I like as well is it cools down quickly. So if you are boiling water in the morning, if you just set it aside as you're packing up some other stuff, then it's definitely going to be cool by the time you're ready to pack that up. Okay, on to my sleeping bag. Now, I have shown this to you before on the Black Mountains video, but I'll just bring that again. So this is my Nemo Kyan. It's rated down to 35 Fahrenheit. Hopefully you can see that there. Yeah. Okay. And it's synthetic. And the reason why I prefer synthetic is I just, in my head, and I don't know if I learned this somewhere or through experience, but the one piece of equipment that needs to stay dry, that needs to function to the best of its ability, I think, is your sleeping bag. Because when all else fails, when you get caught in a deluge and you're sopping wet, you want to be able to crawl into a warm, dry sleeping bag. Even though it could be wet, this will, synthetic will keep you warm where down might not. And I know what you're going to say. You're going to say they're producing this down that's coated and waterproof and all of that. And yeah, I hope that's the case. But just there's something in the back of my mind that says never fully trust a down bag. My pillow, this is a recent addition. I didn't used to have a pillow because I didn't feel the need. I would use my clothes bag, use that as a pillow. I would use a bundled up jacket. But I think I saw this one. I saw how light it was. I've seen videos of other people using it. I was like, okay, I'm gonna get myself one of those, and I am glad I did. It's lightweight. It doesn't take up hardly any room, and it is, I think, worth the comfort. So it is my Sea to Summit Aeros pillow, Ultralight. And I got the regular one. I didn't see a need for the larger one. Again, if I am going to put a luxury item in my pack, I want to make sure that it's as light as possible. All right, my tent. Absolutely love this tent. I've had it for almost exactly a year now. I bought it initially for my Dartmoor trip. Now, that was, some of you might laugh at that, and I do laugh at myself a bit for that, is I wouldn't say that this tent is designed for Dartmoor conditions. That first time I took it out, spent 2 nights out on the moors. First night it rained, minimal wind. Second night, loads of rain and 40-mile-an-hour winds. So those first 2 nights, I was really concerned about how the tent was going to hold up. Anytime you buy a new piece of equipment, you take it out for the first go. You just never know what is it going to be like. Is it going to be able to hold up? Is it going to do its job well? And so those first 2 nights didn't sleep well. Worried every time it started raining. Is it going to leak on me? When those 40-mile-an-hour winds hit, is it going to hold together? Are the seams going to tear apart? Is it going to just carry me away with everything in it? But because of that experience, I now know that this tent is going to serve me well. We didn't encounter anything like those Dartmoor conditions on the South Downs Way, and so it was great when it was raining and I woke up. I just turned over and went right back to sleep because I knew it's not going to leak on me. My equipment and myself, my sleeping bag, we're all going to stay dry. And it's I think adds to the enjoyment of being outside to have that confidence in your equipment, to know that it's going to function the way it's supposed to, and you're going to you're going to be comfortable. If you're always waking up in the night worrying about this or that, it's just not as enjoyable. And yeah, I absolutely have confidence in this tent. Now, that being said, I don't have 3 of these tents. I don't have 3 lightweight backpacking tents. And so with my daughters with me for the first night on the South Downs Way, we needed other shelters. So my eldest used the tent, and she prefers to sleep on the ground in a tent. My youngest was in my hammock and tarp, and that hammock has served me incredibly well for a very long time. I got it, 6-9 years ago, something like that, and spent plenty of good nights out in the woods in that hammock. But I did treat myself this spring, and I got myself a Hennessy hammock. I had to switch places with the camera because it's so hot here today. We're in our heat wave, and my phone keeps shutting off because it gets too hot. So finish the video from here. Okay, so my Hennessy hammock. Yes, this was a treat. I treated myself to this. It's not necessarily a cheap bit of kit, but I think it is worth its. I think it's absolutely worth it. Like I said, my hammock was very comfortable for many years. It still is comfortable. This is that much more comfortable, though. What I love about the Hennessy hammocks are that they are asymmetrical, which means you sleep on diagonal. So instead of sleeping in a hammock where you're kind of a banana shape, you can actually lay out almost entirely flat. It is the most comfortable night that you'll have, I think, outdoors. Now, I know what you're asking yourselves, Mike, come on, right? If this is the most comfortable night that you can have outside, why did you go with the tent as opposed to the hammock? Well, 2 reasons. First, versatility. You need 2 anchor points for a hammock. And the tent, you can pitch it in a field, you can pitch it in a forest. It works in both places. You need a woodland. You need at least 2 trees to pitch the hammock up, or set the hammock up in. And it just wasn't, I wasn't sure enough of the trail. Like I said before, this is my first time walking the trail, so I am, I didn't want to be stuck where I couldn't set up my hammock. Now, I will say this, there are people who will set this up like a tent. You use 2 poles to keep the tarp and bug net up off of you. And yeah, you could do that, and I could have done that, but I just didn't want to have to worry about it. And I know this isn't going to be as comfortable on the ground as the tent was going to be. So at the end of the day, I decided to go with the tent. Now the second reason, of why I went with the tent is weight. This is 3 pounds and 2 ounces. I'll put the kilograms down here, and my tent is 730 grams, and it's more compact, it's more lightweight, and the tent was absolutely the way to go for this trail. Now, you might be wondering, could you hammock camp along the South Downs Way? And what we found was, yes, you could have, but you would be much more limited on places to set up for the night if you brought a hammock. Is it possible? Yes. Are you going to be able to do all the miles that you need to? No. Will you be forced to walk further than you want to in a day? Possibly, yes. So there were woodlands along the way, but just not enough to make me confident that I'd have a comfortable night's sleep every night. So, all right. Well, I hope you found that informative. I hope it was helpful. If you have a question about any of the equipment that I talked about today, pop your question in the comments. If you would like me to go into more detail, do a more thorough review of any of the equipment that I brought on my trip, I'm happy to do that as well. Just leave me a comment down below. So besides that, thank you so much for joining me. Hope it was informative, and we'll see you in the hills.